Anyway, Marilyn Monroe was a young 20-year-old girl or 18-year-old girl or 16, I forget. She was really young when they found her. Really, really young. She was going to school and just doing something, and she when she first met JFK or one of the Kennedy brothers, which of course they weren't really Kennedy brothers. They were really actually just clones and psychopaths. Anyway, they used lots of money to basically isolate and abuse people. And unbeknownst to Marilyn Monroe, he actually paid her friends at school to treat her horribly, as well as paid the people at the first concert that she ever was at to basically be really mean to her. Basically, and he was pushing her towards his wide open arms and his throbbing male member. Anyway, though, so pretty much that's pretty much what they all did. Pretty much back in the day, they were really horrible shit humans. And like I said, they're using the ASAF. USAF suits to basically intimidate and hurt people. Yeah, like I said, the suits, they look like extreme motorcycle riding gear, which is what they would actually say that they were, but what they actually were was pretty much body armor suits that you could drop a grenade next to and pretty much shrug it off. Or even a stick of dynamite. A stick of dynamite could actually explode next to you, and the sound protection and everything and shielding and everything would block the concussion from actually blowing out your eardrums. They were really, really, really good suits that they cost about $1.5 million each to fabricate. Made from titanium or depleted uranium or some exotic metal. That was really, really tough and really hard. The real suits are really tough. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why they wanted police officers and most people using lead ammo, because lead ammo would do nothing to them. Lead would just go against them, and it would basically not even bother them. You would need a real round like brass or stainless steel or even hardened metal to actually hurt them. But just take a wrench and you just dip it and melt it and then fabricate your own bullets, and you could actually punch through them. Not punch through them, but you could actually annoy them pretty much and crush the armor. It would take damage, like I say. Anyway, though, basically Nixon, JFK, and a bunch of other people would use the suits as their private little ghost sticks, basically, and they would go around doing little missions and this and that, and basically using the US AF force or team as basically their private little army. And basically, no one really knew that the suits were coming from China, and actually were developed and created by the Chinese empire or government. And what they had actually done is killed all the people who worked at the laboratory and then stolen the suits and stolen all the parts and pieces for them. And then they had gone after other little things like my LS F-71 aircraft, which they found in Germany and France, like I say. And then they ran around and basically, pretty much, they weren't a government, they weren't anything more than a bunch of people in these armored suits, and basically, by making sure that all the guns were lead, all the bullets were made out of lead or some other little soft metal, they could basically be immortal! Yeah, Alpha male, Alfa Romeo, yeah, and do their drugs and all kinds of other stuff, and basically, were pretty much nearly unkillable by most things other than maybe a katana, which might actually be able to penetrate them. I don't know. You couldn't really get... They're also shielded, so you couldn't really get a knife in here, of course. You could try, and maybe you could wedge it up in there. I'm not sure that the Chinese or Japanese knew how they were built because they had built them. So taking them out would be their little thing. But you had to get close to them to do that. So anyway, yes, they were developed by me, my companies, basically, and they were very good suits, and I knew that they were in existence this whole time, which is one of the reasons why they wanted, and they're very old actually. One of the reasons, I think they might be depleted uranium. They're really tough and hard. Anyway, though, and very expensive and hard to produce, the real suits. So anyway, though, but pretty much JFK, Nixon, and the UASF or USAF team, whatever fuck force. They used to call it fuck force because that's basically all they did was pretty much fuck and fuck up things and destroy things and basically walk around like they were gods, but they really weren't. Like I said, 30mm cannon, hardened steel shell would actually be able to basically make them have a really bad day. Big bullet, like a bullet like yay big could penetrate them pretty easy, and that's not really all that hard to do. There's a lot of cannon rounds. A lot of governments have rounds that could easily take them out like it was nothing. Problem is they would usually stand at least 1,000 feet away, or be inside of a building or something. So they did try to use the armor to their advantage, but of course outside you could just rain down bullets and pretty much even score a strike on them. And once people knew who they were and what they were, the suits were like a curse of death, basically, and anyone who touched it or get near the suits actually died, because they knew where the suits had been and where the suits had come from. And like I said, there's only one remaining suit, like in 1950 or 1940 or something like that, of the original 50 that were built long, long ago, and all the spare parts and spare pieces were basically used up. And pretty much Nixon or JFK or someone, I think it was Nixon, was fighting over the suit, and not going to go outside without it, and gave the body armor to the other guy, or something like that. I don't really know. But basically, a lot of people wanted them dead, and you really can't run from a helicopter and everyone. So, and they had done so much damage and killed so many people that wasn't even funny. And mostly they just ran away and ran to an Air Force base where they could get on a jet and fly off to some unknown country and land, or land somewhere. Anyway, they're basically just hiding in the system, in the giant system of the government, and pretty much not really immortal or unkillable or anything more than the fact that they had access to Air Force bases and could fly anywhere they wanted. Anyone could actually do that, and they were actually going with national security and top priority, all that. Simplify. Are you looking at me? Are you eyeballing me? Kind of stuff. And basically just, really not much really of anything of any real importance or anything or significance, and most people were like, who the fuck are these people? But they had high clearance or whatever or something like that, and basically were no better than, even a private could basically just do the same thing. It's basically just rampant. Basically, there was no head on the snake. There was no one other than JFK and all that, and me, and basically they're just running wild. Anyway, though, and most other real governments and most other real militaries would have to deal with these people. But they're not really hard to deal with. Anyway, I don't really give a fuck anymore, because it was funny because they were trying to kill me because I knew where they were from and who they were. And that was why they really wanted to kill Brian Bradley so badly, because I was actually Lucifer Star and actually had paid for the suits myself. And even though I never wore them or even saw them, they had been produced and developed with my money. And I knew that they were depleted uranium or titanium or some sort of exotic metal that made them very tough and very hard to hurt. But like I said, over the years they had all sustained damage and had run out of replacement parts and were down to their last set of very tough armor. And nobody really knew how to make the metal, much less develop it. Like I say, they were running actually out of ammo at some point in time, and also metal. There's only so much of the metal, and basically if you just keep shooting wild, you run out. But there's always more or whatever. Anyway, I made most of the depleted uranium was used up in the F-71 aircraft, and they probably melted down one of the aircraft to actually make the body armor. I think that's what they actually did. One of the ones that had crashed, they actually took all the pieces and started making body armor out of it, because it was depleted uranium and very hard to get. Anyway, though, so that's probably where one of my SR-71s went. Anyway, though, because they didn't know what the metal was. They couldn't foundry it more than they could heat it up and basically make it into plates and basically use it as body armor. Not a bad use for the SR-71. The LS F-71. Really, if you're gonna cut one up and break it into pieces, I guess using it as body armor isn't all that bad. But it's not really exotic or unique. It's just very, very old uranium metal. And we had a lot of it, actually.